All right, good evening, everyone. I'd like to welcome you to our presentation on Dall.e this evening. I'm creating visual supports to benefit all learners. I'm Carly Paul, and I'm joined by my partner, Sam Larson, for this presentation. In order to communicate with us during the presentation, just to keep things simple, we would like that you use the chat if you have any questions or comments or need to communicate anything to us. And we'll also be providing our contact information at the end of the presentation if you would like further communication as well. Our objectives for today are learners will understand the context and implications of Dall.e 3, and learners will create prompts and use Dall.e 3 to generate AI graphics that enhance student learning. And all of the images that you see in today's presentation, Sam and I generated in Dall.e.
Okay, thank you, Carly. To kick us off here, we are going to do a brainstorm exercise today that focuses on this question. What do you know about Dall.e and or generative AI images? For this beginning activity, we will be using Miro to collaborate together and share any of this existing knowledge to help get us started. To get to the Miro board, you can click the link that Carly is now posting in the chat. There's a QR code available for those of us who may only have access with a mobile device, but for this activity, the bigger your screen, the more comfortable your navigation is going to be, especially for those of us who may not have used Miro before. So I would recommend the link. I'll leave this up for one moment, and then I'll move over to the Miro board. And when you get to the Miro board, wait there for just one moment. Wait for all of us to catch up with you. While we're all getting there, just a quick side note, Miro may request that you log in or sign in with your Google account, which is fairly straightforward and quick, but if for any reason you don't want to sign in, you are able to close out that sign-in prompt, and it won't prevent you from being able to do what is needed for this session. Okay, looks like we've got most of us here. We'll kind of go slow in case we got any stragglers still getting in here. So for those of you who haven't used Miro, this is a collaborative tool that will allow us to interact together in synchronous time. And there are some simple but crucial tips I'll give you in navigation. This is such a cool tool, but I'm just going to give us the 20-second basics of what you need to know throughout our use of Miro in this session. So to zoom, you can use your mouse scroll wheel to zoom in on objects on the board. Those of us who don't have a scroll wheel, you can use Control plus or minus on your keyboard, or in this bottom right section down here, there's this plus and minus. That's going to be pretty key for us to see everything on the board. And then to move around the board with your mouse, you right click and hold, and then you drag. So you can move around the board like this. Those of us on a touchpad on a laptop, for instance, you use two fingers and you drag that way. With two fingers, it recognizes that you're trying to move the board. Just some simple navigation for us there. Okay, now we see our focus idea at the center, prior knowledge. What do I know about Dall.e and or generative AI images? What you want to do is click the sticky note icon on the left. If your navigation looks a little different from mine, fear not, you should still have the sticky note icon. But if you don't, you can see there's a shortcut. You just press N. And you select a color of a sticky note. You click and drag anywhere on the board. And then you can type your input right in there. So go ahead and get started with that. If you have any trouble whatsoever, do not hesitate. We will do whatever we can to help get you going. This is fantastic. I'm going to go ahead and start looking at some of these while the rest of us finish up. No big rush. If you have more to say, go ahead and take a moment to keep typing. But I see this one here. The more specific you are, the better the images can be. And that is absolutely true. We'll talk more about that later in the presentation. But the more specific the prompt is, the more likely you're going to get out of it what you're trying to. The more vague prompt you have, the more surprises that are going to come your way. They're really bad at hands. I've noticed some very weird. I've noticed people's teeth can often be super strange. I haven't noticed the hands. I've experimented, but have not tackled visuals yet. Well, that's great. Glad you're here. Sometimes it's obvious when artwork is AI. I agree. I agree, especially working with it as much as I have in the last couple of weeks. I've looked at a lot of images and I totally agree. You start to see that polished look that a lot of the images get, and I'm now skeptical of all images that I see. It's a blast, but can struggle with certain features. Yep, hands and eyes. More specific and detailed prompt, the better. That is, again, absolutely true. We're going to work on how to refine our prompts together. Nothing about Dall.e, but I'm getting better at writing good prompts. Yes, that's great. That's such a crucial piece of using generative AI is knowing how to write appropriate prompts. Great job, guys. Okay. I'll pass this back to Carly now.
All right, so we're just going to start with an introduction to what is Dall.e. It is an online program that uses generative AI to create images in response to text prompts. As you can see from my screenshot that I have posted on there when Sam and I were first playing around with this, as we have in our presentation, you can have education related prompts or you can come up with silly things like a dog with butterfly wings. It was first introduced by OpenAI in 2021. Dall.e 2 came out in 2022, and now finally Dall.e 3 came out this year in 2023. It can be accessed through ChatGPT, OpenAI, and Bing. The nice thing about using it through Bing is there is no fee associated with it, whereas OpenAI and ChatGPT does ask for a subscription. Also, Dall.e was trained with 400 million labeled images with the ability to transfer input of text to the closest matches of the image it knows, and it has been becoming increasingly sophisticated in its releases. However, like we said, and a lot of you said in the mural board, you do have to get more specific to get what you would like.
Are you tackling this one, Carly? I thought you were.
Yes, but I don't see it up on the screen. There we go. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, it might have been a lag on my end. Sorry about that.
That's okay. Um, so Dall.e has pros and strengths and then some cons and limitations. Some pros, like I said before, is it's free through Bing. There's an open copyright. It's fast and versatile. It's really easy to use, and there's infinite possibilities. Um, with those pros, all images created by Dall.e are now owned by the user for personal, education, or commercial use. However, users cannot overtly state an image is original if it's created by Dall.e. They don't have to state it's made by Dall.e, but they can't state it's their original work. So you can use it, but you can't claim it as your own. For cons and limitations, you do have to worry about bias. Since Dall.e examines our world and culture through millions of human taken and labeled images, it may contain bias in its output, meaning when it is left up to the AI, choices may seem a bit biased or discriminatory. For instance, a certain demographic or country or look of a person may come up when left vague. Users must be mindful of this in order to have sensitive and appropriate use of AI images. So that's something to keep in mind. Images with text are kind of a struggle. So if you want it to have some sort of text in your image, Dall.e does not do a very good job of plugging that in. It would be easiest for you to create the background image that you want and then use another program to overlay that text on top of it. Another limitation is censorship. As we were playing around with it, one of the things that Sam found out is that if you use violent as one of your keywords, it won't pop up anything and it'll block it. It says that from Microsoft, we take our commitment to AI very seriously to deliver an experience that encourages responsible use to that end. We have put controls in place that aim to limit the generation of harmful or unsafe images. And finally, there's the originality moral dilemma of the fact that this is being created by AI. So next up, we have an example of what a failure looks like with Dall.e. The prompt was create an image of a plumber fixing a sink and a woman standing by talking on the phone. We do have the plumber, we do have the phone, but the man has two phones, so it's not what we're looking for. And in this next example, it shows you how specific you can get and how that changes the output of your image. So the prompt for this one was create a photograph style image of a two-story house with a porch, a vegetable garden, a horse stable, and a creek that borders the national forest in fall bloom. And it came up with all of these lovely images with those more specific criteria.
Side note, that's me and my wife's dream house. We made that together.
So if you're looking at Dall.e and thinking of ways you want to integrate it into the classroom, here are some ideas that we have for you. First, you can create customized content so you can make images that you could use for your newsletters, notes, PowerPoints, anything that you want to personalize for you, that would work. For ELL support, you can have images to support text. One of the ways that I thought this would be helpful is if you had images that help show directions. For language, there's a couple different things you can do. Very good for writing prompts. Also, if you want to like have a representation of figurative language, I think that would be a fun thing to play around with in Dall.e. For history and social studies, you can create inaccurate historical images and have students try to figure out what is incorrect about them. For inspiration, either that be for students or teachers, you can brainstorm for an assignment, either if you are making the assignment or if the student is trying to respond to an assignment prompt. And design mockups, so a student can create whatever image it is that they want to end up as their final project before they go into that design process.
Okay, so those of you who are here a couple minutes before we were started may have gotten going with this, but we are now going to do some activities together where we're actually using Dall.e. And it is free. However, they want you to have a Microsoft account in order to take advantage of their Bing search, which uses Dall.e to generate images for us. So if you haven't already, go ahead and in a separate tab or window, navigate to Bing and sign in with your Microsoft account. And if you don't have one already, make one really quick so that you can take advantage of the activities we're going to be doing. While we're doing that, I'm going to go ahead and move into some usage tips for us. Okay, so where you leave it vague with Dall.e it uses its judgment to fill in the gaps, which, as we had been talking about, can have some unexpected results. So we want to be specific with adjectives and layered descriptions with clarity in order to get the most out of Dall.e, in order to get the closest thing to what we want with Dall.e. Refining your prompt to get your desired results is part of the process. So we can expect to do that. We can submit a prompt, and if it isn't quite right, we can adjust the prompt and submit it again. And then, like Carly discussed, Dall.e has issues with text. So you might get away with 2 or 3 words if you put that into your prompt, but often it will display very strangely. And so plan on using an editor tool to add text where needed. And lastly, styles are a powerful component of Dall.e. So play around with specifying styles that you are interested in or that you think would work well for a given context. And here we have another example prompt. This image is from Bing, kind of a sentence stem to get you started with creating a prompt. And you see it wants you to choose an adjective, a noun, a verb, and a style. And so that might look like this: fuzzy bear, wearing sunglasses, and black and white art. That's a pretty basic prompt to get us started. Okay, so on the next slide, there will be some instructions for the first image we're going to create. However, I wanted to get us going with our Miro board. So there's going to be a new link from Carly in the chat for our image share and contest. And so go ahead and navigate through that link. And if you, again, there's a QR code there for those of us who are using mobile devices. But again, it's going to be best if you have a larger screen for this. I'll give us just a moment to get over to the Miro board. It's that last link that Carly put in the chat. Okay. I'm hopeful that we'll have some more people joining us, but that's okay. That's okay. We're going to push on ahead. So this is our Miro board dedicated to the image share and contest. And this table up above, you can see by the Post-it note that's showing on the screen. This is for activity 1. We're going to do 2 together. So we'll move down to the second one for activity 2, but we're focused up here in activity 1. And I see some people already diving in. This is great because what you want to do is claim one of these boxes with your name. We are going to be doing a specific prompt. So if you're jumped ahead and you're already trying to share an image, maybe we can do that at the end if we have time, but there is a specific prompt we're going to be doing in just a moment. So pick a box, and if you click, you hit the text icon here on the left, it will change your cursor to text, and then you can click and enter text for your name. You'll do that same thing when you're copy and pasting your prompt next to your name. And then once you have your image, you will paste it into the box right below your name. Okay, so let's look at the instructions for the first one we're going to do. We are going to create an image for student directions. And here is our example. We put in this prompt for the example, create an image of student writing notes in a classroom. And you can see the image that popped out of that. We want to try and come up with our own example. So use your own words and own phrasing based on a need that you could anticipate having here. Or you can adjust our example prompt with your own unique criteria. For example, a history classroom or a happy student, detailed notes. Make it specific and unique for your use case as best you can. And again, once you've generated an image, we want to go to the Miro board. And if you haven't signed in, you'll notice you might have an issue putting in an image. You'll have to use the shortcut. So it'll be Control V to paste the image once it's on your clipboard. But if you signed in, then there should be no problem with that. So we'll just, if you have any questions or anything was unclear, uh, don't hesitate to reach out and ask. But we'll just keep an eye on this board here for a minute while we each generate a prompt that is an image for student directions. Okay. Is everyone doing okay? Everyone got it figured out? If anyone's stuck, then oh, Chase, I'm just seeing your message now. For some reason, the AI site isn't working for me. Okay. Were you able to sign in with a Microsoft account? Try that link. It's possible that we didn't give you the sometimes sometimes it seems if you go to Bing and you go straight to the search bar, it'll take you to the right place. It'll accept your prompt, but if it's not, you can try that one. Okay, well, we're gonna do another activity, so hopefully we can get this figured out for Chase as we go so that we can make it to the next activity, just looking at the time. So for our individuals who posted images, we're gonna vote. We're gonna stick with the plan. And to do so, all you do is look at the plus icon on the bottom of the image that you think is your favorite or the best. And once we've submitted our votes, we'll crown someone the winner. Okay. Congratulations, Jen. Woohoo! Some of these images are pretty amazing. That's that. Create a black and white image of a high school student writing notes on a computer. That nailed it. Okay. Now we're going to do one more together. And it's in response to this scenario. So I'm going to go ahead and read this. You're going to generate your own prompt for this scenario. Your institution has created a task force to help develop student social and emotional curriculum in the wake of a generation of students that seem to be severely struggling in these areas, and they have requested your help on the task force. An image is needed to support this section of text on the right side of the screen. Author your own prompt in Dall.e, generate an image, and share both the image and your prompt on the second Miro board. So I'll go ahead and read this while we go back into Dall.e. We're generating a second prompt that is an image that is meant to accompany this section of text. So dancing can be a great way to express your emotions, especially when they are so powerful that you can physically feel them in your body. Dance to angry music, happy pump up music, or no music. Just get that excess energy out. If dancing isn't your thing, try another form of high energy exercise like boxing or sprinting. You can search for free workout videos online or do your own thing, but make sure to push yourself and give it your all if you're looking for that anger release. Okay, hopefully that gave us some ideas. I'm going to go back over to the Miro board. And we want to go down to the activity 2. So remember, you right click and hold and drag to drag the board. And we want to do the second prompt here. And while we're waiting just a moment here, Chase, were you able to get that last link to work? Oh, fantastic. Does anyone need me to go back to the prompt? I don't know if anyone didn't quite catch what we're trying to create an image to support. Okay. Looks like we got a couple people in here. I don't want to skip if someone is close. So I'm going to wait just another moment to see if we get someone who pings on the Miro board, but then we will jump to the voting. Okay, I saw someone, so we'll give them just a moment. Looks like I'm seeing someone pasting a link. If you right click your image and click copy right in the Bing image generator, if you copy it to your clipboard just by right clicking and go into copy, then you can control V onto the space on the Miro board. All right. These are some very cool images. I'm going to go ahead and start the vote. Looks like we've got 4 to choose from here. Hmm. Okay. There we go. It wouldn't let me select this very interesting one here, so but it should now. Oh, I'm not sure why it's not letting me include this one in the vote. Well, unfortunately, we're just going to move ahead here. I apologize to whoever that one was. Okay. Let's see, Carly won with 3 votes. And our prompt, teenagers dancing and boxing to music in black and white. That's great. Okay. I apologize to those of us who seem to be having some issues on the Miro board. I'm going to go ahead and pass it back to Carly now.
All right. Here's our links for our resources that we use. You can use the QR code, and then I will drop this link in the chat for you as well. It's listed bookmarks related to Dall.e and generative AI image use in education. So feel free to extend it to any resources that look interesting or beneficial to you if you choose to continue to learn about the use of Dall.e to support teaching and learning. And thank you again for spending your time with us tonight. If you would be able to fill out the survey for us, there's the QR code, and I will drop this link in the chat as well. We would love to get your feedback on your thoughts on tonight's presentation. And then if you would like to reach out to us, our emails are listed there as well. So thank you.